Welcome to Painting a Room 4 of 4, Part A, Cutting in a Room. Here's a list of needed tools, supplies, and materials. This is an example of what I call bleed under. It's where the paint bleeds under the masking tape that was applied to protect the trim or whatever from being painted. As you can see, it's not very pretty. Don't let this happen to you. The term cutting in a room refers to painting the outside borders of the walls without getting paint on other areas such as trim, ceiling, or opposing walls. One way is to mask the trim to keep the wall paint off. I will show you how to keep the wall paint from bleeding under. But first, mask all of the trim that you want to protect. There are areas that your finger will not fit, so use the putty knife to push the tape up into these areas. Mask the trim as close to the walls as you can. Press it down with your fingers, then use a putty knife to secure it into place. Mask all the trim that you want protected. Use the putty knife to secure the tape in place. When masking a corner, overextend the tape into the corner. Use the putty knife to press the tape into place. Hold the knife into the corner and pull back on the tape, and this will cut it off. Now that the masking tape is in place, use a small 1.25" paintbrush. Load the brush with trim paint. Wipe off both sides. This will keep a minimum load. Then paint down the masking tape line between the tape and the walls with a light coat of trim paint. This will keep the wall paint from bleeding under the masking tape. Remember to keep it a light coat and let it dry before you start painting the walls. I like cutting in the upper trim and the ceilings with a quality brush and a steady hand. Here it is slowed down. The best example I can come up with is trying to push a wave of paint at the tips of the bristles and gently nudge it into the areas you want it to be. Don't worry if you have little holidays, areas that you didn't get the paint quite deep enough or up to what you're trying to paint up against. You can take care of this at the second coat. Here it is again at full speed. Remember, your last strokes are to where you have been. This will keep an even coat. Cut in under the upper trim and the ceiling. Now that the light trim paint is dry, paint the borders of the wall around the trim with a light coat of wall paint. This coat needs to be a light coat. It's okay to see streaks of light color coming through. This will cover on the second coat. If you have a round transition corner between a wall and the ceiling, treat it as though it was trim. Use masking tape and tape a straight line along the corner. Now take ceiling paint and with the small brush, paint a light coat along the wall side of the masking tape, the area that the other paint is going to come and butt up into. This will keep the wall paint from bleeding onto the ceiling line and give you a nice straight transition. Once the ceiling paint is dry, paint it with a light coat of wall paint. Now, using a steady hand, cut in the ceiling as we discussed before. Take your time. And remember, you're going to be looking at this for a very long time. Don't worry about any mistakes or imperfections. All of this can be corrected on the second coat. Now finish cutting in all of the remaining walls at the ceiling line. I will pull off the transition masking after I roll the second coat of paint. Use a steady hand and cut in on top of the door casing. As you look back, you may see that some areas you haven't gotten as close as you wanted to. Don't worry, you can take care of these when you do the second coat. Remove all electrical plates. Don't try to cut around them. I'm cutting in the far side of the door casing with a steady hand. It will be unseen most of the time, and it gives me opportunity to practice. And knowing that it's on the far side of the door casing, no one will ever see it if you make a mistake. Use a drywall knife to get into those hard to get to places, like in between the carpet and the wall. This will protect the carpet from getting paint on it. When painting up to and around carpet, gently agitate the brush. This will push paint up to the tips of the bristles and will allow you to get as close to the carpet as possible. Now that your first coat of cut-in paint is dry, paint in again around the masking tape. Paint a section about 4 to 6 inches wide. After painting a certain length, carefully pull the masking tape off of that section. You should end up with a nice, clean, crisp, straight line. A rule to remember when it comes to standard masking tape is that whatever you put on today should come off today. This will keep you from having problems. Keep painting the second coat along the trim line and keep pulling off the masking tape as you go. Keep painting around the trim and pulling off the masking tape as you go. Don't wait until tomorrow. It'll be too late. Use the small brush to gently and carefully cut the paint in around the handrail brackets. Once you have painted around all of them, let them dry and then paint around them again. Now you're almost ready to roll the walls. Now that we have the room cut in, we can roll the walls. Be sure to come back and watch Part B, Rolling Walls. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Thank you for watching.